Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Belinda Ellsworth, author of Direct Selling for Dummies. Belinda, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much, Paul, for having me today. It's my pleasure.
Are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right. Question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say one of the mistakes I made originally was trying to have everything figured out before I even started. And I wanted to have my book cover done. I thought I had to have all the chapters laid out. I had to have, everything I was going to do about it figured out before I ever started. And consequently, it just took forever to get started. And now I've learned along the way to do sort of just start writing, for one thing, if they haven't even finished that. But then the other thing is to start networking and making connections, build your list in the process of writing so that you actually have someone to market to. Those are probably my two biggest pieces of advice.
Yeah, and I think building your platform is critical, especially for a first-time author. I mean, that's the biggest challenge, right? You've got to build that platform. You have to build that readership, and it's just a great thing to do in preparation for your first book.
Absolutely. Blogging is a really good thing. In fact, I even have some friends now that did a successful blog and started to really build a following. And then they were able to take a lot of their blog posts that they had done previously and really organize and fill in the gaps and create a really great book that way. So that's another great way for a first-time author is while you're blogging and writing about the things that you want to write about, it is a great way to build your list. And at the same time, you can go back and pull from that content.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
I think it for sure is, it used to be, let's put it this way, it used to be finding a publisher and navigating your way through that ordeal. And I think today there's so many awesome opportunities for people that either want to self-publish or do like a hybrid model, much like what you offer, where the author still has quite a bit of rights and at the same time and is able to get royalties, but at the same time, you're able to help the person navigate through the waters that they don't know anything about. And I think that there's so many great opportunities for authors today that that they don't have to wait for that publisher, because those are also far and few between and harder to get. So I would research. I would have a couple of different people that you're researching and find the person that you align with and that is a good fit and go from there.
Yeah, we were talking about that prior to the call. I mean, the biggest thing is just trust your gut. Make sure it feels right, because if you don't trust your gut, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. So if you're talking to a publisher or a hybrid or a coach, whoever, just make sure you trust your gut. If it feels right, go for it.
And like anything, this is also like you were saying with a coach or with a hybrid model or whatever, is, we go out and we get I'm building a deck, and I went out and I got 3 different estimations from 3 different builders and really met with them, got their personality, got their quote on what it was going to cost, and looked at some of their work. And I do that if I'm going to build an addition onto the back of my house. But for some reason, people don't think about the same process with anything that you're doing. And so I would get some different quotes. I would interview 3 different people. I would really look at their body of work or who else have they published. And I would do some things like that, just like if you were going to build an addition onto your house.
Exactly. And that's one thing that we do too. We had a strategy session yesterday with a gentleman out in Australia, and I gave him 3 of my previous clients. I was like, hey, contact these guys. I don't mind, because I'd much rather them tell you about their journey and how we helped and what we did, and just make sure it's a fit for what you want. And I think if a company doesn't do that, then I think you've answered your own question.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
So we did a variety of different things. I'm just going to share a couple of those. So we really aligned ourselves with other authors that we liked their message, or they were kind of in the same wheelhouse with us, and we allowed them to offer a free gift of some kind, like either a training article, an audio training or mini course, an ebook. Some take a chapter out of one of their books, but we aligned ourselves with about 10 authors, is what we did with ours. And we allowed them, and this is when it launched on Amazon. So, like, I also had no control over getting who would have been who was buying my book. Like, I wasn't able to capture all those emails. So by doing this, we just put all over Facebook and everywhere that if you did go purchase it on Amazon, that you needed to email us for your bonus items. And the bonus items were all of these fabulous training articles from these 10 authors. So that did two things for me. One, it allowed me to capture all the email addresses of the people who did purchase my book, which was really important for remarketing. The second thing was all those 10 authors, for them to be able, we've got a pretty substantial list. We've got about 100,000, and they knew that their material was going out to 100,000 people, which was really good. And so they, in return, sent it out to their lists. And of those people that I chose, it was people that I knew that were fairly established, and that I had a relationship with. And I'm going to touch on that in just a moment. But by them putting it out to their list, it allowed us in that 1 week to get this really broad reach, which I think did help contribute to a number one bestseller. So I think that certainly helped contribute to that. The second thing that I did do is I did hire a marketing gal that just helped me with that. We were very busy. I was still speaking, as I still do, on a pretty regular schedule. And so it was just difficult to do all of that. And so she handled some of that for me, which was really good. And a lot of the logistics, a lot of the Facebook posts. And that was the other thing, is I did a lot of lives about it, talking about the bonus items, talking about order the book, in this time frame, that was the week it was launching. We did pre-orders with that. We started doing the pre-order campaign about 3 months prior. And I might have done it more than that, because the book actually was on Amazon for pre-sale probably 6 months before it launched, but we didn't really start marketing that till about 3 months before. And I think that was good. So we did the Facebook Lives. And the way that some people would say, what if you don't have a relationship with those authors? So going back several years ago, and I still do this today, I have a newsletter that goes out to our database, and I always do a book review. So I make a point of reading. Back then it was a book a week. And so now I have somebody sharing this with me, and we do it every other week. So I really only have to read one a month at this point. But back then I was doing one a week, and I would do the book review. And what was really nice about that is the authors loved it, because we would send them our book review, and they were really happy to have that. And some of them, when I loved their book, I got gutsy, and I just picked up the phone and said, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And we made friends. And so I actually was in on a couple of their book launches, like second books that they did, and did the same thing, put forth together a little training piece on sales. And I built a good relationship with a lot of those authors over the years, so that I had them to say, hey, now it's my turn. I'm doing this. Will you help me reciprocate this? And they were thrilled to do it. So that's really how I built that relationship. And I still do one a month now. And we still do that same thing. It's amazing to me. You get kind of nervous, or you think you read this book and this person's really famous and they've got this best-selling book. And I just learned to pick up the phone and call. And lo and behold, I can't believe how many people took my call. And then we actually became friends. Or sometimes if you don't have a number, I'd send them my book review and say, I would love to schedule a time to chat with you. And almost all of them did it. And so that was kind of what helped me build up knowing some different authors to sort of do this with as well.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
So it's not my number one. So I'm giving you three that are like, they're kind of older, but they're still like my favorites. So What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. That was one of my favorite books. And I think I was just at a place, it's very inspirational. And it was just at a place where I had really kind of gotten to the place in my career where I was like, all right, I'm kind of bored, kind of. And that book really helped get me to that next level. And it was really, really great. And then Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi is a fabulous book on networking. He just does a really great job of broadening your reach and networking with other people. And then one of my favorite leadership books is Creating Magic by Lee Cockrell. And he worked for Disney for a period of time. And he just has some super fantastic leadership strategies in there, and some of the things that they do to make Disney the magical place that it is. There's a lot of, things that go on behind the scenes. So those are my three books of my favorites, and those are older. I just recently did book reviews on newer books. Lydia Fennett, who works for Christie's Auction House, she just did a book called The Most Powerful Woman in the Room Is You, and that is a great sales book and also inspirational, but she gives some really great sales strategies, and there isn't a lot of women doing great sales strategy books or talks, so that was fabulous. And then The Proximity Principle by Ken Coleman, I just finished and just did an interview. And that book really aligns with my podcast, which is Work From Your Happy Place. And he is all about, if you are stuck in a job that you really don't like, how do you transition into something you love? So his book was really, really good. And I'm super excited about it. That's going to be our next book review.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
Well, my favorite quote is by Eleanor Roosevelt, and that is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And why? Because I just really believe in being a motivational speaker myself. I just really believe that people don't dream big enough. They let their dreams go by the wayside, and they don't create vision boards and really think outside the box of what possibilities they have for themselves. And this always resonates with me about how important that is.
Well, Belinda, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
The best way to find us online, there's a couple different places, but where you'd find the book and some of my other materials, I do a lot of work within the direct selling industry, and that is stepintosuccess.com. You can find me on Facebook at Belinda Ellsworth, Direct Selling Expert. And then we also have, for other entrepreneurs that want to follow us and get connected, we have a podcast, Work From Your Happy Place, and it also has a Facebook page as well as a website. And we're really excited about that, and we're actually developing that brand and working more on that throughout the rest of this year. So you're going to see some really fun, exciting things come from that.
Belinda, I want to thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, and thanks for having me.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.